Dr. James Lindsay actually works with Rachel and Simone in the production of the film A Letter to the American Church.
That's right.
You were heavily involved in the Mao Zedong part of the film.
My hypothesis is that the identity politics, the strategies that they're doing right now in the United States mirror what Mao Zedong did in the Cultural Revolution and in the years before the Cultural Revolution. So first, Mao took over education and made sure education would transform the youth to be a youth rebellion. Well, we see that in the United States. He used that with this identity politics, the people versus the enemies of the people, the laborer and the peasant and the revolutionary cadres and martyrs and soldiers. And he set up the enemies of the people, the landlords, farmers, the rich farmers. And we see the same thing, but we see it with identity politics here in the United States. Straight, white male, racist, transphobe, homophobe, those are enemies of the people. But then you have racial minorities, sexual minorities, but also activists, allies, and so on.
If you were out on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona, and you were talking to someone, an ordinary American on the street, and you told them about Mao Zedong, what do you think is the biggest misconception?
Oh, they just don't know.
They simply don't know.
We have completely red-washed education, as I say. In other words, it's been washed by the communists to hide the history of communism in the United States.
Right.
And so if I talk to the average American, I'm telling them a history lesson.
And how is that generally received?
Shock. Yeah, well, they see it immediately. Unity, criticism, unity becomes we just want a place where everyone feels like they belong, but we've got to criticize the racists and transphobes so everybody feels welcome. So they immediately see this is the same thing. This is a cultural revolution. I think that the communists in the West took over American education 50 years ago and have kept it out. What they call critical turn in education, which comes off of a Brazilian Marxist named Paulo Freire. That took place mostly in the 1980s, so over 30 years ago. Well, Paulo Freire, it turns out, in his book Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which is his biggest, most famous book, says in a footnote in the first chapter that his model's based off the education system from Mao Zedong in China.